aspect of love for dads and families. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Christine Bernard, stress management coach and more. And I'm having issues. Here we go. Welcome. And today we're exploring the leadership mindset, owning your role as a dad. Not always easy, but it is possible. So, what is it that you can do to support your kids? Often we think that if everything is perfect, our children will be perfect. Everything will be okay. Trying to fix things all the time, trying to make sure everything is there for them exactly the way that they want. Unfortunately, I tried the perfectionism thing. It does not work. So I invite you to try something else. And do you know what the number one mindset shift that makes parenting easier? And is the most important thing to remember? Take a deep breath and let me know what you think. Is that number one? So, oh, yeah. So it's a growth mindset, right? If we have a growth mindset, doesn't that change everything? Whether at work, in the family, studies show that children tend to be more persistent when their parents have a growth mindset. It also talked about less anxiety, less depression. Who doesn't want less depression and less anxiety for your kids? Maybe if your children are exhibiting some anxiety or some depression, could it be that you need to develop a growth mindset? I said that leadership isn't about perfection, it's about your direction that you take. What direction do you want to take? Do you want to take the direction that aligns with your values, with who you really are? Or do you want to be following everybody's ideas and what everybody else is doing? There are lots of trends, having taught for 30 years and read many different books on education. I've seen many different things, but what I learned that was most important was my first year teaching way back. Will age me. And at the first report card, parent comes in and I say, "Oh," and I'd given his son great marks. And dad's like, "I don't understand. All the teachers in the past have said to me, your child doesn't read." I was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Your child reads beautifully. He has great comprehension, and he's actually almost in the above average." And so I asked him, "Well, what did you change at home?" Right? Because he had to have done something. It wasn't me in a few months that had gotten his son from a low reader to a high reader. And this dad said, "Well, this summer I took away TV and I got him some books that he really liked, like Harry Potter." This was a grade 5 student, so Harry Potter. "So instead of watching TV this summer, my child read." And there you go. A secret to many things. Yes, you will get some kickback from the kids. Yes, they won't like you maybe for a little bit. But is our role as a parent or as a dad to be the best friend of your child? Or is it to empower them to their greatness? Those I call those kind of growing pains, and I call it as well tough love. Do you love your child enough to let them have resistance to your new ideas, to your new boundaries? Right, yesterday we were talking about these boundaries and how to set them with love and clarity. So we can also explain to the child where we're coming from. Because when we explain it, for example, if I take this dad with this child, and if we say, oh, I know it's been challenging for you and your reading. I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you improve your reading. And I've heard that this is a great strategy. And TV is not, or the cell phone, the devices, gaming is not helping you improve your reading. So let's spend some time reading. If you have time, you can read. I remember as a child, my dad would read us comic books. You may not know this series. It's a French series written in France called Astérix and Obélix. And we loved, even though my dad worked a lot, we loved when there was a rainy day or something that he would sit, even if it was a half hour, to read us because he loved putting intonation. He had fun. We laughed. And it was these joyful moments that were so important to us. So it's not the quantity of time we spend with our children, because if we spend all day, if you're a dad at home and you're stressed out and you're anxious and you're worried and you're overwhelmed and frustrated and et cetera, what's your child learning? I know I've done it as a teacher too. I've done it as a parent. My children moved away from me when they were in their late teens, young adults, because they couldn't handle who I had become, the stressed out mom. And that's the last thing we want. So if you're feeling stress, book a call. I'll help you find direction. Which way is best? Where do you need to improve? What's working? What's not working? Where do you need to bring about that shift? Get yourself an excellent growth mindset book. I don't have one off the top of my head that I can suggest, but you can Google that. I know you're a smart dad, and it is possible to bring about awesome shifts for our family. Because when you shift your mindset, you change the energy in your home. Let me say that again. When you shift your mindset, you change the energy in your home. Isn't that what we want? Do we want an energy where everybody's frustrated and overwhelmed? I was working the other day with a parent. Even if you have adult children, it is possible to change that energy that's in the house. And this parent just reported that, yeah, it worked. There's less arguing in the house, there's less, etc. It's calmer and it's more harmonious. Isn't that what we want? And it feels good as a parent to see that. Sometimes we are unable to see the reason why this is happening, and it's okay. I have a coach because I can't always see where my shortcomings are, and that's okay. And I have this inner desire to keep evolving, to keep moving forward. So I don't want to stay stuck where I'm at, where I was yesterday. Every day taking steps doesn't take long. It just takes the intention, that mindset. How can it can just start with the question, what would make me feel more joy in my family right now? What is it? And if you have nothing that comes up, it's okay. Keep doing what you're doing, keep going, but have that question pop up again and again and again until you find that answer that comes from within you, right? It's up to you. You have a choice. You get to choose what it is that you want in your life. I can want this for you all day and pray for it for you and, send, but the bottom line is you get to decide that. You have that ability to choose. So, how do we reset after setbacks? Something didn't work out. Trying to teach your children, you want to set clear boundaries, for example, that we were talking about yesterday. And there's a setback. Well, in my opinion, setbacks are normal. They just mean that we need adjustments. So it's not about guilt and shame, blaming the other, your spouse, or blaming the kids, or blaming yourself. How is that going to help you move forward? Really? Blame, shame, guilt, make wrong are not things that help us move forward. They actually put this heavy weight on us and they kind of get us stuck there. So if you have some guilt or shame, get some support. And how can you reframe setbacks, right? How can you press that reset button and say, hey, so for example, let me think of an example. If we're thinking of the cell phone and, you've asked everybody to put their phones away, mute their phones before they come to the meal so that they can be present with you within the conversation. And somebody forgot to or didn't, maybe they chose, right? Sometimes they choose, sometimes they forget, sometimes they unconsciously don't want to, so they're not doing it, they're not remembering to do it, and then the phone goes off. Are you going to blame, shame, make wrong, or make them feel guilty? Or are you going to say, okay, I believe we had agreed that this is what we were going to do. So, do you have a strategy, giving them the opportunity to be responsible for their actions? Do you have an idea on what you could do tomorrow so that we don't hear your phone? They might come up with an idea. I'll put an alarm to set up, to remind me to turn the phone off, or can you remind me tomorrow, Dad? Or they can work in a team with another sibling. If they have no ideas, you can give different suggestions, possible suggestions without imposing anything, because we want at the same time for our beautiful children to develop some responsibility. If we're giving them the solutions all the time, their brain is unable to learn from that. Their brain does not learn to find their own solutions. Dad will give me the solution, right? Notice how sometimes children will act differently with one parent than with the other. And it's not because of the child, it's because of how the parent is parenting. And I remember being said, "Oh, Christine, as soon as you walk in the house, the kids start complaining and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, it's not my fault. What did you do to them? All right. That was the blame, make wrong, shame, didn't want to take that guilt that they were putting on me. However, today I would ask, "Oh, isn't that interesting? Maybe I could sit down with the kids and say, 'What's going on? or I can look within myself and see because maybe all the stress they had picked up throughout the day, they felt safer with me. And then it was all coming out in front of everybody because they knew I wouldn't punish them the way they were being punished in this other house. That's a possibility. There are so many different possibilities, but until you sit down in a calm, grounded way, and if your way is to breathe in, relax, and exhale, great. If it's also to tap as you breathe in, relax, and exhale that onto the zap that onto the spiraling train so that you can stay very, very calm. Having that power, it's very powerful to be able to just snap, tap, zap your stress away every day so that you can, right, lead with confidence because you're calm, your amygdala's calm. So it's really important. I will never stress this again. And I mentioned, I think, in the last episode, I was talking to Annie Lala, number one relationship coach in the US. And she says self regulating is the number one solution to improving your relationship. So if you want things to shift, yes, your mindset, growth mindset, excellent. Reset and snap, tap, zap. Any stress, triggers, overwhelm that are coming up within you, give yourself that grace. So, what's one leadership lesson that you've learned so far? I'd love for you to share that in the chat. And I thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to share some of this knowledge that I've acquired over the 35 years working with children and having my children. So, and all the training that I've had as a coach, different types of coaches. So, I just want you to know that I'm with you in this journey. And no matter what's going on, there are possibilities, there are solutions. Look for them, listen to your inner wisdom that will guide you. And of course, if you would like to have some support, I'm here. Or if you have another favorite coach that you really like, perfect, go with them. Or if you have a psychologist or psychiatrist, congratulations. One step forward. Just the mini baby step each day will get you to have some shift. Have a great day and a great weekend. And I will see you tomorrow, unless you're coming to Boucherville this weekend. Le Salon de l'Éveil is a great place. I am sharing my knowledge and abilities there this weekend. I've rented a table. So if you're in the Montreal area, in Boucherville at Le Salon de l'Éveil, I'd love to have you come and say hi. Take great care of yourself